Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a step-by-step guide to configure a Cisco router to connect to the internet. Now, Cisco router is one of the most popular routers that you see in various companies. So if you're a network engineer or maybe an IT personnel and you tend to configure a Cisco router one day to connect to the internet, this video is for you. So I'm going to be showing you guys the step-by-step procedure to get your Cisco router to the internet. Now, this is a simulator. Remember that most of my Cisco configuration videos, I also explain them on how you can apply it in real-life scenarios. So I'll also be doing that in this video. If you have not watched my video on how to use PuTTY to connect to your Cisco router or switches, I'm going to be dropping the video link in the description below. I will strongly advise you watch that particular video. Now, to connect to your router using your PC on site or on real life, you need a software called PuTTY or Terratem. So for you to do this configuration, all you need is your Cisco router, your computer, your console cable, and your ISP given IP address. So your ISP is going to give you a public IP address that your systems will use to connect to the internet. Okay, so you're going to be having the systems that the company are using to connect to the internet. Now, your ISP is going to give you a public IP address that you're going to configure on your Cisco router so that these systems can use that address to go to the internet. Now, there are different ways in which an ISP can give a company an internet. Now, the popular ones are like the fiber, or maybe they will come to your company and install something called a radio, or the satellite-based type of internet like the Starlink. So before I continue, please don't forget to give this video a like, and also if you like the kind of video I used to drop on this channel and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please don't forget to hit on the subscription button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you always be notified whenever I drop a new video. So let me demonstrate something quickly, then come back to that simulator. Now, remember I said that an ISP can give a company an internet using various methods. Okay, the fiber method, I can't explain it in this video because it's going to take time, because I will start talking about splicing and how they can terminate the fiber to their patch panel before bringing it up to your own router. Okay, so it's going to involve using the SFP modules, the fiber cables and whatever. So, but if you're interested on that video, comment on this comment section below that you need me to do that video, and I'm going to make out time and produce a video on how fiber can be finally terminated on your rack before you can start distributing it to the company. Okay, so the only one I'm going to be explaining in this slide is the radio. Okay, so an ISP can come to a company. Okay, so this is the company. Please, I'm very good in drawing. Please, you're going to bear with me. So let me assume this is their radio. Okay, ISP radio. Okay, so they're going to install this radio to connect to another radio of theirs in a particular mast somewhere. They know how to do that. Okay, but I'm talking about the final radio that will be in the company's building. Okay, so from this radio here, they are going to have a router that is going to come down to your rack, or maybe to your control room, to the company control rooms rather. So to the company control room, then this router is going to be connected to your own router, that is the company's router, one port. Okay, one port, WAN. Okay, so to the company's one port. Now there will be a public IP address which this ISP is going to give to you or to the company to configure on this router, so that this router can receive internet from their radio. Okay, so they are going to give you a public IP address to configure on this one interface, so that any other devices that is being connected to other interface of this router will have internet. So once this configuration is being done, this router here is going to have an internet. So if you connect a switch to one of the LAN ports of this router, this switch also we have internet automatically. Okay, so from this switch now, you can now connect to your systems, your VoIP phone, or whatever device you want to go to the internet. And also, if you need other wireless devices to be connected to it, you can connect to maybe to an access point, and from here you can distribute wireless to wherever I want to distribute. Okay, so this is just a sketch on how ISPs can install a radio in your company and give you a public IP address to configure in your router to give your own router a network. All right, I don't know if I explained this clearly. So it can also be with the Starlink. Okay, so this can also be the Starlink. I think I have a video. I've explained how you can connect your internal network to Starlink. So it's just almost the same. Okay, but in this Starlink method, please, like I said, I'm very good in drawing. So let me assume this is our Starlink. Okay, so in this Starlink will come down to its own router. If you're using Gen 2 Starlink, it does not have an Ethernet port, so you need to buy the adapter. Okay, you need to buy the adapter, then connect to your Starlink, then from here to this place. So if you have a router here, you're going to do a configuration inside this router to bypass the wireless. Once you bypass the wireless of this Starlink, you can now connect this directly to the one port of your router. Okay, so once you connect it to your router, you can now connect your switch, then your devices, and every other configuration. So this is quite more straightforward, but you need to do this bypassing configuration on this Starlink router. Okay, then connect it to the one port of your Cisco device, and you can now connect to the internet. If you have any confusion or you need more explanation on what I just did here, please comment on the comment section below. I'm going to make more clearer video on it. Okay, now let's go back to our simulation and do these configurations. So from here, this is the router inside the company, and we have the ISP, which is the radio they brought to the company, and we'll have the switch, then we have the PCs. So our main focus in this video is to configure this router. Okay, so we're not doing any configuration on those devices. The main focus is how can we configure this router so that the public IP address that our ISP will give to us can allow us give this router internet. So once we can get internet to this router, all these devices can connect or can browse the internet through the router. So the main configuration I'm doing on this video is just on this router. Okay, so I have other videos where I did VLAN configuration, how you can configure your switch, how you can configure your router, basic configurations on Cisco Router. So if you go to my channel, you can click on the playlist. You can see Cisco devices playlist. You can open it and learn more and more configurations from that playlist. Okay, I also have Starlink playlist, and if you CCTV, all of them are in my playlist on my channel. Okay, so let's proceed. Now remember, we're going to be connecting this ISP to the router. Okay, but then, like I said, let's do this configuration first. So click on your router. Now if you're on site, you're going to download this software called PuTTY. Okay, let me see if I have it here. Yeah, so PuTTY, you're going to download this software on your system if you're on site, and also you're going to get a cable, a console cable, or they call it rollover cable. Okay, so you're going to get a console cable and connect the console cable to the console port of your router. Okay, I don't want to do this in this video. I already have a video on how to connect your console cable to your router. Okay, so please, I'm going to be dropping the video of that configuration, how to use PuTTY. I'm going to be dropping the video in the description below. Please watch it so that I will not waste much time on this video. Okay, so from that particular video, you're going to learn a lot about PuTTY and how the setups are being done. So for this video, I'm just going to be rushing. So here you're going to leave the configurations the way it is this way. All right, so once you are done, click on open. So it's going to open the terminal of your router. So like I said, check out that video and see how the basic configurations on that on this PuTTY is being done. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to use this laptop to configure this router. Okay, so we're still on site, so I'm going to connect this. I'm going to connect this router from the console port to the RS232 of this router. Okay, so this is how you're going to do your connection if you're on site. So I'm going to click on the system. So instead of clicking on the router direct, I'm going to be using the system. Remember, I said as if you're on site. All right, so we're doing this configuration as if you're on site. So come to desktop, right? Yeah, come to desktop, terminal. So leave the configuration, the basic configuration the way it is. Click on OK. So from here, it said enable secrets. So let me say no. Do we have password configured on this router? So please don't be angry. Let me change that router. I don't know why it's requesting for password. Let's use this router here. Okay, so console. All right, let's try again. Okay, so from here, okay, let me just delete this router here. Okay, we don't need this. Sorry, this video is going to get long, or maybe I'll break it into two. So click on your laptop. Now come to desktop, terminal. Leave this default configuration the way it is. Click on OK. Okay, let me expand this. So from here, no. So this is the user exec mode. I strongly recommend, if you have not watched my video on basic modes and basic configuration on Cisco routers, try and go to that playlist on my channel and look up for the video. Okay, here I'm going to go to the privilege mode using enable. Let me see how many ports we have on this router. So we're going to use this command, show IP interface brief. Okay, so we have two ports here, gigabit 0/0 and gigabit 0/1. So I'm going to be using this as our one port that will be connected to the ISP router, and I'm going to be using this as our LAN port that will be connected to the company switch. Okay, so let me assume, I'm going to do this very fast. Let me assume the ISP gave us this IP address. So let's say 192.168.1.2. okay, and they have a gateway which is 192. Let me see. Okay, gateway. Let's say one IP. Okay, so gateway 192.168. Let's say 1.254. okay, let's just use this randomly. So if we come back to our router, so configure global configuration mode. So configure terminal, interface J0/0, IP address, okay, 192.168.1.2, 255.255.2.255.0, that is the subnet mask. Enter. No shut. Okay, no shutdown. We enable these ports from administratively down to up. Okay, and also the IP address here will be assigned. So once I do no shut, okay, no shutdown, enter. So that interface will come up. So if I go back, exit, okay, show IP interface brief, you can see that the status is now up and the IP address has been given. So I'm going to quickly give an IP address to the other interface. So configure T. So I'm going to be configuring the LAN IP address. So let me assume here the next port that will be connected to this switch, we're going to be giving it this IP address. Let's say our LAN IP will be 192.168. Let's say 2.10. Okay, 2.10. Let's leave it that way. 2.10. So if I come back here, interface G0/1 IP address, okay, IP address 192.168.2.1 255.2, sorry, let me expand this, 255.255.255.0, enter. No shut. Okay, so the same thing we did on the other interface. All right, so from here now, the next configuration we're going to do is NAT. Okay, NAT is network address translation. I'm going to explain it further when I finish the configuration. So come back to the global configuration mode. So the configuration is going to be this way. Access list 1, permit 192.168.2. So we're going to be configuring it on the LAN interface, all right, .2.0. So wildcard mask 0.0.0.255. Okay, I've not really done video explaining the difference between subnet mask and wildcard mask. Okay, I'll try and do that. You can also comment if you really need it as soon as possible. So enter. So NAT. Okay, let me just finish the configuration. So we're going to have something like IP NAT inside source. So IP NAT inside source list 1. So that's this. Okay, interface G0/0 for our one interface. Okay, so IP NAT inside source list 1. Okay, interface G0/0 overloaded. Like I said, I'm going to explain this soon. So interface G0/0. They are going to have something like IP NAT outside. Sorry, IP, not in. Okay, so IP NAT outside. Okay, exit. So for the other interface, for the LAN interface, we're going to have interface G0/1. Okay, so IP NAT, same thing. Now this is going to be inside. Exit. Now let me briefly explain this before I continue. So like I said before, NAT is network address translation. Now NAT allows multiple devices in the private network, just like this, So remember, this is our private network, all right? This to this interface is our private network. From this interface to the internet is our public network. So this is our public network, the interface that connects to our ISP. Then the interface that connects to our switch is our private network. So NAT is an address translation. It allows these devices on this LAN to share a single public IP address. That is the IP address our ISP is going to give to us. So it allowed all these devices here to share this particular public IP address to be able to connect to the internet. Okay, so we can start requesting for, because the IP address we do buy it from our ISP. Okay, so we can start requesting for different public IP address for all our devices. Okay, so NAT helps us to translate these different IP addresses to just one single public IP address to be able to access the internet. Because normally each of those devices is supposed to have one IP address and one public IP address. Okay, so one IP address and one public IP address for them to be able to access the internet. But with the concept of NAT, it allows all these different LAN or private IP address to use just one public IP address to go to the internet. Okay, now coming back to our configuration here. Now this whole configuration here enables what is called PAT. Now PAT is another protocol again, which is port address translation. It enables PAT, meaning that multiple internal devices, just like I've showed you before, can use the same public IP but a different port number. Okay, so with this configuration, all these private IP address can use the same public IP address but different port numbers. So that means if a particular device is trying to request for a particular service from a particular server on the internet, the server is going to recognize that particular device using its unique port number. So that is where PAT comes in. Let me come again. If all these PCs are going to be using this single IP address to go to the internet, but if PC3 want a particular service from the internet, let me assume maybe a DNS service and a HTTP service, FTP service, whatever kind of service, if this PC need a particular service from a particular server on the internet, that particular server is going to recognize this particular PC using its unique port number. Remember, all of them are going out of the network using this using the same public IP address, but they will be identified on the internet or from a server using their unique port number. So each of these PCs must have a particular unique port number. I believe I've tried to explain this more. If it's still confusing, you can comment. I will share more light on it. Okay, so coming back to our configuration, the overload here, this overload keyword here allows multiple private IPs to share a single public IP, just like I've explained before. So let's come down to this part. So I did a configuration here, IP NAT outside, that is for the WAN interface, and I also did IP NAT inside, that is for the LAN interface. Okay, so this two configuration helps us to identify which one is for the internal or the inside traffic and which is for the external or for the outside traffic. Okay, so one more configuration I'm going to do here is the ACL. Now ACL referred to as access control list. Now we use access control list to control which internal IPs are allowed to use the NAT. Okay, so the NAT we configured, we use access control list to determine which of these IPs are allowed to use our NAT configuration. So to create this ACL, we're going to use the command access, okay, access list 1 permit. So we're going to permit this IP address 192 192.168.2.0. okay, so all the whole networks, remember I can schedule them, and I can also create different LANs and restrict some of the IP address to use the NATs and different configuration that way. Okay, but then I'm going to allow all the 2 dot network. Okay, so all the 2 dot network should be able to use the NAT configuration. What am I doing? So all the 2 dot network, which I have done here, all the 2 dot network should be able to use the NAT configuration. So I'm going to also apply the wildcard mask 0.0.0.255. okay, enter. So the next thing we're going to do is to configure a default gateway. Remember, your ISP is going to also give you a gateway to go to their network. All right, so they give you an IP address and also give you a gateway. Sometimes also they give you a subnet mask. All right, so I'm going to configure a gateway IP route. So IP route 0.0.0.0 0.0.0.0. So I'm going to input our ISP gateway 192.168. Sorry, let me see what it is. .1.254. okay, so .1.254, enter. So the next configuration you will need to configure is your DNS. Okay, so let's use a public DNS like the Google DNS. So IP name server, okay, let's say 8.8. We can add 2. okay, you can use 1, you can add up to 2. So name server 8.8.4.4. remember, if you have your own DNS, you can use your own DNS, but if you don't have, always use the public DNS like the 8.8.8 or 8.8.4.4. all will still work fine for you. So our configuration is done. The last thing we're supposed to do here is to save our configuration. So there are different ways to save your configuration using this simulator. Okay, and the same thing also applies in real life configuration. Okay, so remember, every configuration I did here is what you are going to do when you are on site, when you are using real devices. It's the same thing, there's no different. Okay, it's going to work the same. All right, so there are different ways we can use to save our configuration. So we can use we can use copy running config to start up config. Okay, this is my favorite one. All right, so if you have successfully followed this procedure and do all this configuration, then your router can now connect to the internet. Okay, so your router is now configured to connect to the internet. So remember, the ISP router that will be given to you. So let's disconnect this. Remember, the ISP router that will be given to you has already been configured by the ISP. Okay, so they just give you the IP address to configure on your own router. So once you connect your cable to the ISP router, your router should have internet automatically. Okay, so if you are doing it on a real device, you can test the configuration. I did not configure this ISP here, but like I said, this router here they gave to you must have been configured by them. They'll do their configuration, then now give you the public IP address to configure on your own WAN ports. Okay, so once you have successfully done that, and you connect their router to the WAN port you have configured on your own router, automatically your router will have an internet. Okay, so if we come back to this part, you can now connect all your devices. Okay, your switch can now connect to wait, let me. So your switch can now connect to this switch does not have Ethernet port, so you can get a switch that has an Ethernet port. Remember, we are done with the video. I just want to show you guys how you can just do your connections, but for this video we are actually done with the configurations. Okay, so I just want to play around with this. So if I have my switch, let me get the switch. Okay, so these are unlike devices, so we're going to use straight through. So any of the ports, then to this particular port, remember that is our LAN port. So once you connect that, then all your routers, all your devices can now connect to the switch automatically. So you can start browsing, start going to the internet, you know, do whatever kind of browsing you want to do. You're already set up. Let me just try and just add color to it. So this part is our LAN, and this part is our WAN. Okay, this part is our WAN. So this is our LAN and this is our WAN. Remember, this is your computer that you came to the site with. So after your configuration, you disconnect your computer and take it to your home. You're not going to leave it for the company, except if the company has a computer that you can use to do your configuration. All right, guys. So in summary, all we just did in this video is how we can actually configure our router to be able to connect to the internet. So that means our ISP is going to give us a public IP address, and we're going to configure that public IP address to the LAN, to the WAN port of our router, our internal router, that is the company router, and also do other configuration on the LAN port so that the internal devices can be able to go to the internet. All right. And also we talked about the configuration of NAT, which is a network address translator, okay, where we say that NAT translates private IP addresses to public IP address for internet access. And also we also talk about ACLs, which is access control list, which defines which particular internal devices are allowed to use this our NAT configuration. Okay, so let me know if you need more details on these configurations. Thank you guys. Please, if you learned something from this video, don't forget to give it a like. And also, if you like the kind of video I used to drop on my channel and you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, I think this is the best time to subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you always be notified whenever I drop a new video. Thank you guys, and see you in my next video.